Tēnā koutou, welcome back. We're going to be diving into understanding what it means to seek love outside of ourselves, to seek love externally. I feel this is an important conversation because it literally affects our attitude, it affects our well-being, it affects how we think, it affects who we connect with and why we connect with people. It affects every inch of our life, and frankly, there's not enough kōrero or discussion around it. What I'm sharing here is a perspective or a framework that we can choose to work with, to see through, to implement or not. So I'm essentially just putting options out there through these videos, putting frameworks out there for us to consider. Now, if the shoe fits, if what I'm speaking about is hitting home for you, that's a tohu or a sign. That is a tohu for you to lean in, to listen, and to get curious about. Curiosity is all you need when you are hearing a new perspective for the first time. So let's dive in. I'm going to be sharing my experience with seeking love externally. I'm going to be inevitably, through sharing my journey, I am going to be also speaking about how we can also have the option to cultivate love within ourselves. And I'm going to go into what that means, because when I first discovered, learnt, became curious around our ability to seek love externally or have it within, the phrase made sense, but I didn't know how to cultivate love within myself. So for this video to be valuable, I really want you to walk away with an understanding of how we cultivate love internally. And so we've got that knowing there when we decide that, okay, we want to pull back from seeking it externally. So tools are really important. Ability is really important. This is what I believe makes content worth watching and valuable. So let's dive in. First, we will start off with describing what it means to seek love outside of ourselves or externally. When I say externally, I mean outside of yourself. When I say internally, I mean inside of yourself. So the best way I can do this is to share my journey with it. This is a subject where if someone talks at you about, in theory, how this can look, because it's such a close to home subject for all of us, because we all in some way are seeking love externally until we know how to cultivate love within. It's a personal subject. So if someone's talking textbook or like theory to us, it's like, we look for the flaws in what they're saying. So I'm going to share my journey with it. And the reason why I'm even making this video is because I was standing in the kitchen washing the dishes, I think. And, I had just watched a video and was doing some study on human design and gene keys. And I just was pulsing with the gratitude, the excitement, the yes around the knowledge of human design and gene keys allows us to be sovereign. Like we have grown up, to no fault of anyone, we've grown up in families, cultures, communities, and we've done things the way that they've kind of always been done in our families, cultures, communities. And as we step out into life and we start paying our own bills and, you know, being responsible for ourselves, we take into our lives these values, these beliefs, these ways of doing things. And sometimes when we get out there, like in my case, what I had like a lot of what I had learnt, it wasn't working for me. Like it was like an uphill battle, and I was wondering why. This works for everybody else, that works for everyone else, that person's smiling, that person's loving life, I'm doing exactly the same things. Why am I not getting the same result? And so Human Design and Gene Keys has been such a blessing for me as a projector, a 2/4 projector, because it's allowed me to become sovereign in my authority. It's allowed me to take, you know, to really understand where my inner authority comes from and use it to make decisions. Because for a lot of my life, this is a big statement, but I'm gonna stand by it. Before I understood my human design, I was so lost. I was so lost, y'all. So decisions, direction, which way to go, I would be so lost. And I was reliant, I was dependent on asking those close to me what they thought. Friends, close family, close friends, close family. I never knew how to trust a decision. If I made a decision, I'd always be unsure about it. Lost. I was lost. That's the best way that I can put that. So when I learned Human Design and Gene Keys, it allowed me to get to know myself. Now, my journey with cultivating love within myself didn't begin when I started understanding my Human Design and Gene Keys. The foundations were paved long before that. However, I believe these methods, these methodologies, these tools really helped me to just like blow open the circuit and like really get things going. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking how special that was. And while I was thinking about how special that was, I was also reminded how lost I was before that. And I hadn't really taken the time to like do a look back on how lost I was before understanding how I make decisions, before I knew how to trust my decisions. And so I was kind of wowed. I was excited. I was, you know, grateful for this knowledge. And then I was reminded about where I'd kind of come from and was like, oh yeah, it was messy back then. Now, one thing I'm going to go into briefly is my situation right at this moment. So I am going through a legal situation for a time in my life 10 years ago that involved an ex-partner and family violence. And in the space of 2 weeks, I had to dig up every detail about my life 10 years ago that I kind of had blocked out. And not only had to dig it up and like look at it and relive it, I had to prove it and have evidence. And that was a brutal process to go through really quickly and really unexpectedly. In that moment where I was being so thankful for Human Design and for me, being thankful for me, it's not Human Design and Gene Keys, it's me being curious about that knowledge. I could have looked at Human Design and Gene Keys and went, oh, okay. But ultimately, y'all, It's our curiosity towards something that unlocks the door or not. When we hear something that feels and rings true and we don't do anything with it, we don't bring curiosity, we don't bring a hunger to know more, to knock down that door, well, that's up to us. If we do bring that curiosity and that hunger and that drive to know more and to knock on doors and to, you know, to get to like be determined, that's on us also. So our curiosity is huge. And, you know, whenever I work with a client, they always say, thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting me, for the impact. They really get deep into their feels and start thanking me. And I always turn around and say, yo, it was you do realize that it was you. Like, we would not be having this conversation, you would not be feeling this gratitude had you not been curious. Had you not been slightly scared of the unknown, but also curious. You had the choice to step into this connection with me, and you made that choice. You just as easily could have chosen not to. So we are here because of you. I thank you. You want to be thanking you. The results you have are because you decided to turn and face instead of turn and run time and time and again. You want to be thanking you. So whilst I'm praising and feeling gratitude for these methodologies, these tools, I know, just like I speak to my clients, I know that I'm really grateful to me for being curious, for having an attitude and an appetite and a hunger for curiosity about things that I believe are in alignment for me to know. So, whilst I'm being grateful for these tools, at this moment in my life, I was also reminded about how lost I was, and given the particular situation that I'm in or coming to the end of right this moment with this legal situation, I also saw all the ways in which I was really lost in the past. I didn't know how to trust my decisions. I didn't know how to trust myself, which is, there's such a deep contrast these days where I'm more so am on the side of trusting my decisions, trusting myself with my decisions, trusting myself with my life. And one I'm going to go into some of the details about how lost I was. Yet what it looked like was that I didn't know how to appreciate, see myself, really acknowledge myself, like when no one was looking. I might have been able to acknowledge myself out in public and put on that kind of performance or that show. But when no one was looking, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see beauty. I didn't see amazingness. I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that. And when people would tell me things, and you know, things would be coming in externally to me, I would latch onto them. I would be like, oh, what? And there are still times where I subtly recognize those old ways, like coming up with like moments. There are moments in my life these days where someone might tell me something that I hadn't been focusing on and recognize me, and I'd be like, oh, really? Now in the past, I'd run with that. Like I would run with it. I would run wild with it because they recognize that about me. These days I know how to thank, receive, and then sit with it, you know, listen to my spleen, what it said, and then kind of just slowly go about it. Oh yeah. In the past it was like anyone recognized me, and being a projector, you know, we are here to be recognized and to recognize others. As a projector, it would be like someone recognized me, I'm like, whoo! And then I'll take action, then I'll make that action really public so that they knew that I heard them and I was onto it. It was crazy. I'm sitting here going, have I actually covered what seeking love externally looks like? I trust I have. It looks like hanging on to the every word of others, yet hanging on to not one of your own words. Not being able to trust one of your own words. It feels like chaos. It feels like a compass that keeps spinning and we want it to stop and land on the right direction, but it never does. And so we grab the nearest person that we trust somewhat and we ask them, is this the way? Is that the way? How are they gonna know? They don't know. People can only ever give advice, and it's based, and it runs through the filters of their values, their beliefs, their attitudes. Why, you know, they can't ever know. Yet so many humans are in the cycle of needing confirmation, validation, clarity, direction from others. And it's not even going to be useful all that much if you don't know, if you don't have the ability to trust yourself. My head's spinning just thinking about that time. Really, really confusing, really, really chaotic. To not know how to trust yourself, back yourself, love yourself enough to say, you know what? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to have a go. I'm going to have a go at listening to me. And in human design, there's what we call strategy and authority. How our body can communicate with us to guide us to make correct decisions for ourselves. I didn't know any of that back then. I had my friends and my mama directing me. I had my friends and my mama directing me. I didn't know about no spleen. So, what happens when we, over the years, when this subject has not been spoken on, you don't know any better. Before hearing a video like this, life can be chaotic, it can be reliant, dependent on what others in your life can provide you. And sometimes, y'all, sometimes it's beautiful and it's nice when we can receive words of encouragement, empowerment from others. And that's okay. That's beautiful to receive that at times. I do. We all do. It's nice to receive that. However, there's a difference between receiving it sometimes and needing it all times. If we're needing it all times, then we are reliant, we are dependent, we are seeking love, seeking answers, trying to determine our worth through an external source. So let's move into the alternative, which is to cultivate a source within ourselves. We must learn how to give ourselves what we don't have. So if we're watching this going, yep, okay, yeah, I'm dependent, I'm reliant on receiving worth and love from external sources. Yep, well, if you can say, yeah, I put my hand up, I do that. Then the next thing to do then is to realize, is just to sit with the understanding that if it's coming from outside, we got to learn to give it to ourselves. What are we giving? How are we giving it? I'm going to briefly go into this, and I might need to make another video, but I'm going to briefly go into what it looks like to give ourselves what we've been seeking outside of ourselves for years. And this was the one area that really tripped me up. And I was like, I didn't understand. Give love to yourself. See, create worth within yourself. Where? How? What? Who? More confused. So I'm going to, hopefully, as a projector, give this to you really simply. Giving to ourselves the things that we are lacking or missing starts with I really don't want to mess this up. I'm like, you said it was going to be simple, and it's like turning out not to be simple. Why do we go out? Why do we go outside of ourselves? Let's start there. We're right here and we need something. Clarity, direction, feeling good, whatever it may be. We're right here, and then we go outside of ourselves and go knocking on doors, ringing up friends and family, and we start, hey, we're outside. To me, that's like we've left ourselves and we've gone out. So we've ran from ourselves. We are running from ourselves, and we're going out, going, hey, can I get what I need to get out here? The word run is there for a reason. We have turned away from ourselves and we have ran outside to seek to receive whatever it is we're trying to get. Turning and running is the stark opposite of turning and facing. We're right here with ourselves. We need something. We stay with ourselves and we turn and we face in. We turn and face in, and we understand what we're missing. We understand what we're wanting. We sit in the discomfort of not having the things that we would hopefully want, or feeling the ways that we feel. And we're right here. We stay here with ourselves. We turn, we face in, and we stay here. We don't turn and run. That is how we give ourselves what we need. I'll give you an example, hopefully. If I'm sitting here and I feel like one of the days during my legal situation, there were many days when I was not okay. When I was not okay, mentally and emotionally. This is why I love this chair. Because I come right here, and before I would pick up the phone and you know, express to anybody else, I would express to myself first. I would stay with me. I would turn face in, and I would feel the heartbrokenness. I would feel the grief. I would feel the pain that was present. I didn't go and seek calming or consoling outside of me. That I wasn't reliant on my inner circle, even though they wouldn't even do that anyway. I wasn't relying on my inner circle to comfort and console me when I had not. That's the circle I keep. They would hang up. They'll be like, you know, you taught me well and goodbye. Go and console your own damn self and then come back here. So, we come in and we give ourselves what we need. We don't go running outside of ourselves to try and get it from someone else. Because I'll tell you why we don't turn and face in. It's because it's emotionally uncomfortable sometimes to actually have to turn and face in and feel what is here for us to feel. If I don't feel, you know, one of the times when I was having to write out some of the details of my past, I felt like a doormat all over again. And that was yuck to feel that. It was yuck. And it was embarrassing. It was yuck. It was, holy fuck, how did you not see this? So there was some self-shaming beginning to pop up. There was all going on. And to stay with yourself and to feel that, to turn in instead of turning out, to escape, to get comfort and consoling from outside of ourselves, to turn in is to say, I can hold that. Like I can feel that. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's a lot to feel that. It's a lot to feel that, and that's why we run. That's why we turn outward. Cultivating our ability to be self-resourced and sovereign, and to be sourced internally. The everyday work is about giving to ourselves what we seek externally. The comfort, the praise, the advice, the direction. It's about learning to pause and then, you know, stay with self. That's what it is. And it helps when we have tools like human design and gene keys, because it inspires us to want to stay with self, because we start to see how amazing self is, how unique and how amazing, like, wow, our design is. So these tools are a source of inspiration for us to stay with ourselves, but they're just a tool. We still have to stay with ourselves. So, in rounding this up, we may, some of us that are watching this may be sitting there in a place where love is being sourced externally. And if you've made it this far through to the video, I just want to like truly like look at you and say, you are doing, like, you're legit doing the best that you knew how. Like, no, when in school did you get given the book on how to cultivate your own love from within, how to cultivate your own source of worth from within? When? No, you didn't. You got given a maths book and an English book and social studies. Okay, you didn't get the book on this. I need you to hear that. You didn't get it. You didn't get the book, the instruction, the manual on this. You, along with your ancestors, were doing the best that they could with the resources that you had. Now, this video is a resource, and it is now a new resource that has been put before you because you chose to watch it, right? We're 30 minutes in. You chose to still be here. This is a new resource that you get to explore and become curious about. This is not a time for dwelling on, oh, shoot, like, why am I doing, it's not a time for belittling self and getting beaten up on yourself because love is being sourced externally. No, that was all meant to happen like that, so that you then understand the contrast when you choose to implement it. And the contrast is learning to give to yourself what you may be lacking. And it takes training. It takes a choice every day, every moment, to stay with yourselves. There's going to be some days where you absolutely don't stay with yourself. You don't turn and face, you turn and run. There are going to be those days. We're human. I, even though I'm trained in it, I teach this stuff, I don't stay with myself in every single situation. I'm human. I'm going to turn and run sometimes when it's too hard to look at. But I have what we call the treasure box. And the treasure box is this box that when I know I've been triggered, when I know I've run from something, when I know I've projected, when I know I've done some things that, could have been done otherwise, or could have been done differently, I put them in the treasure box, and then I come and revisit them when my nervous system or when I'm grounded enough. So this is not about perfection. This is not about like mastering this so that every single time we get it right. Nope, it's not about getting things right. This is about us learning how to support ourselves, to make decisions, to trust our choices, to like who we are, and to pass that on to those that come after us. That's what this is about. This is not a race against anyone else. It's not a race against anyone else. There is no medal of honor for getting this stuff right 100% of the time. No, it's about committing to being the best version we can be for ourselves and for our future generations. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, feedback, comments that are constructive, conducive to this kaupapa and this subject, I'm happy to be challenged. I'm happy to receive, your beautiful words of what this video meant for you. I am not so keen on just like disconnected insults. Probably won't respond to those, as I always say, but I'm here for connection and a conversation. So please do drop your comments down below. And as people say, if this has been of value, do subscribe. I always say this in my videos, I feel like this is just such a me thing to say, but I've been on YouTube for the last 6 years and I have a collective following of 20 people. So this is not about building up quantity for me. This is about having quality people you know, gaining access to these resources. So subscribing ensures that when you open up the apps or you go on the YouTube webpage, that my videos are top of mind for you. And I would love for you to keep continuing to resource yourself with new perspectives and new ways. So subscribe if you want. You do not have to. My partner Maru watches YouTube all the time, and I'm like, hey, you should subscribe, and he's like, nah, why, you know? And then he's kind of started subscribing to those that he wants to see, but you know, up to you. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you for tuning in. See you on the next video. Ka kite.